Okay, so this is my market update for the week ending March 20th, 2015. All broad U.S. markets and markets worldwide that had a nice advance this week. You can see from the chart, it's a NASDAQ ETF weekly chart. Had a nice bounce off of that 10-week moving average. Should close today right at the upper Bollinger Band. So the major news out of this week was that from the Fed meeting. The Fed had a very dovish tone, calmed the markets, and paved the way for a nice advance. Okay, so now I'll go through some of my current positions. So International Paper, it's a weekly chart. I added to this position on Monday after the initial trade last Friday. And so far so good. It had a nice hammer candle finishing in the green for this week. Okay, next up is a weekly chart of the utilities XLU ETF. So I initially got into this a couple of weeks ago, around March 13th. Had a great advance this week, almost up 4% for the week. Not surprising considering the Fed's dovish stance. So far so good. Very happy with the results, and I'll likely move up my stop loss. Okay, next up is a weekly chart of Baidu. I initially got into this position several weeks ago upon a retest of that red line, which corresponds to the 50-week moving average. After that, it had a nice advance one week, followed by a decline the next week, and then this week another nice advance. Still needs to contend with that 10-weekly moving average. But we'll see what happens, see what next week brings. So far, so good. Okay, so next up, it's a monthly chart of ExxonMobil, and the monthly chart is what gave me the initial idea for this trade. So you can see it has pulled back all the way back to the long-term trend line, the white line that I've drawn. It also corresponds to the lower Bollinger Band on the monthly chart, as well as the 100-month moving average. Okay, so this is a 30-minute chart of ExxonMobil. The green arrow represents a point where I'm close to my entry. You could see that there was a fairly long period of time where the price was below that 50 moving average on the 30-minute chart. You had a pretty big jump on Wednesday after the Fed meeting, and now the price pulled back to that 100 moving average. Fairly close to my entry, so this was sort of my confirmation after looking at the monthly chart, and hopefully this will continue higher over the short to intermediate term. And finally, some ideas for next week. One of them is Tiffany. It reported earnings today, Friday, March 20th. You can see from the red candle it's pulled back to its long-term trend line. So this could be a potential idea for next week. I'll be watching. URI could be another good one for next week. You see it's had a bounce this week off of that trend line I've drawn on the chart, and could be definitely a candidate for next week as well. And finally, Intel. I'll be watching this next week as well. Another stock that's currently in the process of bouncing off of a long-term trend line. You can follow me on Twitter at DeconstructMed to see how these current trades and future ideas unfold.